Okay, I'm going to talk about who Miranda is and why I like Miranda here. Because Miranda is pretty good because she's not like other people who call themselves Christians. Because they don't talk to me. You know why they don't talk to me? Because they don't want to talk about the naked people in the garden. No, they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to get political either. Like, they don't want to talk about, like, they don't want to discuss the political issues, like, what's going on, and people get all hung up on issues like abortion, which I think is something that needs to be talked about.
Well, I can see why people get hung up about that.
Yes, I understand that. I don't understand so much why people get hung up on the gay marriage issue. Like, because that's not my goal. I don't even really think about it.
Well, I'm against it, but I don't, like,
Well, see, I don't think about it because I'm not gay.
But it's, again, I'm against it because I believe everything the Bible says about it. It says that they're gonna go to hell, but I'm friends with some people that are like that, and their choices are wrong, but it's not like I can force them to change. Because I think gays have a choice. I don't believe they were born to be that way. They choose to. It's a lifestyle. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know, but see, I don't even have an opinion on that. Like, mostly I have an opinion on almost everything, which is why people don't really like me. But I feel like with that issue, I'm like,
that. So then what do you think about me then? About, like...
Well, I think you're nice. See, what I'm just saying is you talk to me, Miranda. That's what's different about you. Because other people don't really want to talk about this stuff. They just tell me, read the Bible. It will answer your questions. I'm like, no, read the Bible. I have more questions.
Yeah.
We still haven't even gotten with...
Sometimes people just need to stop asking questions. You know what I mean?
Why?
Well, because if you question everything, then it means you're doubting.
And what's wrong with that?
Doubting God? Well, because we don't have the same mind as Him.
Can you find where in the Bible it says that you should...
No, I'm not saying, because everyone questions things. But, I mean, it's not like a sin if you, doubt.
Okay, then you're all right, because a lot of people say that if you doubt, then it's a sin. People say that. And I'm like,
It's not.
And besides that, have they ever read about Thomas?
Yes, people always talk about him.
See, he's the real deal, man. Because
I love Thomas.
Yeah, I really think that more people need to be that way. They really shouldn't just take people's word for it. Like, after Jesus' resurrection, just tell.
Well, the reason people go off about him was because he didn't believe that he was coming back, really. That's why.
Well, but
that's what I kind of don't like about him.
What do you mean?
Well, because people say we don't want to be like doubting Thomas because Thomas basically says, I don't believe it unless I actually touch him. And he fell, and you notice in that story that he fell on his hands and knees and said, he said, forgive me for, failing and not believing. And that was a lesson to everyone because obviously he believed he wasn't coming back because people don't come back to life.
Yeah.
He did.
Not every day, that's for sure.
And,
but I don't see what's wrong with that. And here's the deal. What you look in that story is Jesus showed himself to Thomas.
But he showed himself to him even before that,
But see, here's the deal. I don't see why it's such a big problem. If somebody has a problem believing that Jesus resurrected or something like that.
That's kind of why he didn't believe, though. That's why,
Yeah. But I don't see how that's a problem.
Well, it would be a problem if he knew him. He knew him before he died. And Jesus was already talking about these things.
Here's the deal, Miranda. Okay, if I told you that I was going to die, and that I told you that after 3 days I was going to resurrect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would not expect you to
believe you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not that I'm Jesus or anything. For one thing, I'm like way younger than that. But but I'm just saying, like, I don't see what's unusual about Thomas doubting.
Well, it's not. It's just he was his disciple, though, and obviously, I understand to a point of why he didn't believe in him, but he saw his miracles. Everyone did, and
Yeah.
it's interesting when the disciples even became together because some left, and that's why there's the chosen 12 because they didn't believe. It's interesting about knowing about that.
Yeah, well, see, I always looked at the whole story, and Jesus shows up. He knows Thomas isn't gonna believe that he really came back from the dead unless he shows himself to him. So Jesus shows himself,
which I love.
See, that's what I like.
Yeah.
I like a Jesus like that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a cool thing.
It's pretty badass.
Yeah, pretty badass. Jesus is badass. Yeah. Did you know somebody actually told me that Jesus is badass?
Who?
Oh yeah, it was just this friend I knew, and I can't say his name either because he's like, he doesn't like to get into controversial stuff, but he would just
What's his name? I want to know.
Oh, I couldn't tell you because he told me not to tell anyone because he believes things a little differently than other people, and he doesn't.
Does he know of me?
He might, but because he sees stuff I post on Facebook. But you know what I'm saying? He's a guy I talked to, and I'm a long time. He said something about Jesus being badass, and I'm like, what in the world does that mean? Like, Jesus is badass. Like,
that's because he's basically a superhero.
Yeah, like, and it's like we have Superman, we have Mega Man, we have Jesus Man. You know, like, I like that.
I can't wait until I meet Jesus at the end of the world. Do you believe in the rapture?
I don't know. Like, I kind of think it would be weird. It never made sense to me. I don't understand the purpose of the rapture. Although, you know what? We could talk about that in our next video.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
There's so many things.